Okay, so informal review of FF Tactics. Really enjoyed it. Awesome game. I definitely see why people love it. Again, it's earned its place being considered alongside the main numbered titles as one of the core games of the series. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. It's not bad. That's not a critique. But I would definitely put it in if I had to split all the Final Fantasy games I've played into this half good, this half bad, this would be in the good half for sure, definitely. Doesn't break my top 5, maybe my top 10. I've never gone as far as thinking top 10. The thing I will mention, Ramza really grew on me as a hero. He didn't develop and change much during the story, but he didn't have to because the whole story about it was about his refusal to change. He was a brave, noble, honorable man, and no matter what the world threw at him, how much the world kicked him around, how many people told him he's an idiot, he's a fool, he refused to betray his ideals, and bravo. That's something to be admired, indeed. In terms of gameplay, it was a bit grindy, but I didn't mind it. Because on the one hand, most older FF games are a bit grindy at one point or another anyway. And also, grinding was not boring, because it was fun leveling up the different units and unlocking abilities and trying new combinations and also tracking down different enemies to farm items from them. So, really enjoyed the gameplay. Did have my critiques about it, though. I also enjoyed the job tree. It made things interesting. There was a couple odd choices for it and placements. Again, I think of the Geomancer as a caster-based class. So for them to be almost like Mystic Knights or Spellblades in this game was unusual. But overall, job tree was well balanced and enjoyable. Like I said, I do have a couple critiques about the minutiae of the gameplay. The one thing that really stuck out to me and annoying, there's a lot of status ailments that just completely shut down a party or a unit. Stop, disable, undead, doom, instant death, confusion. And if you don't have something to heal them right away, you need a chemist or a white mage and a party for most of the game, or you need status blocking stuff. But then by the time you're in battle, and you know that those status ailments are here, it's already begun. Especially for some storyline battles, I understand they can't let you view the enemy's stats before battle like they do with random encounters. But then you're going into it completely blind, and you can be caught off guard, which is annoying. Granted, you can just retry again, but retry and change your formation, but still, it's frustrating. Something else I realized is a little odd, I guess you'd call them battlefields, places like Fort Bessalat and all that, the locations where the fortresses and that. They're completely pointless once you have the story battles in them. And it's should be something to do at those places. Although, spots on the map, you can still visit them, but there's nothing to do there. Maybe you can recruit some human and more allies there, maybe... You want attention? Do you mind? Don't look at me like that. I'll give you attention. Give me 10 minutes, okay? So, maybe you can recruit more human allies there. Maybe you could leave units there to train, to level them up without taking them into battle. Something. I don't know. Other minutiae of the gameplay, and this is something that I know a lot of people mixed feelings about. Maximilian dude, I saw tweet went viral for it. That buffing and that spells can miss, including healing and buffing spells and rays, and can even miss on corpses. That's annoying. Especially on corpses. I'll let it slide for healing and buffing spells, but rays should not be able to miss. Especially when you have a tight turn limit to revive units before they die forever. And on that note, I'll mention the whole thing with Marak, his reverse faith effects, where he wants low faith so his spells do more damage. Neat gimmick, more of a hindrance than a help, because it meant that no one else could cast spells on him. And yeah, that means he's kind of immune to enemy spellcasters. But on the other hand, I can't heal and buff him with my own mages. I'll say I never really used monsters too much in battle. When I was grinding, I did capture a bunch of monsters farm items from them, and I used them then, and they definitely hit hard. But on the other hand, they had like very limited movesets. Most of them only have 2 attacks. So I don't really, like, thinking back, I don't feel the need like I would ever want to use monsters. I don't see the point. Like, you could cut the ability to tame monsters and not too much would change, really. And with the fact we could only bring 5 characters in the battle, and some of the later fights when the enemies really began outnumbering us was a frustration. After credits scene.
I thought I might find you here.
King the leader.
Everyone has been looking for you. Today is your birthday, is it not? I brought you flowers. A token of my eternal love. Ophelia.
Okay.
How could you? You used them.
But I thought he was remembered as like a hero king in that. Or is this like years later?
Just as you did Ramza.
Okay, that's a little revealing that your first instinct on pulling out the blade is to stab her back. Did he just kill her? Okay, that's an ambiguity I'm gonna have to look into. Is she dead now? Like, because I would think that would cast suspicions on the leader. He's still moving, but she ain't.
Did you get what you wanted in all of this, Ramza? I got this.
Was it worth it? I think even he is wondering that. In honor of the original Final Fantasy Tactics team. Okay, the other nitpick, yes. Oh, save data. When you next load this data, you will zoom in the point immediately. As a special bonus, you can now listen to the game's soundtrack. Cool. New sections have been added to the Chronicle. Okay, so yeah, some new info. Yes. Okay, I want to load that. Like, I want to look. Like, does it mention that if they died or not?
A deeper understanding may lead to fresh discoveries.
Oh wait, it's at right at the start, right? Yeah. Okay, it doesn't like mention the post-game fates. No. Is a thing to draw. Do you want out again? Like, he came in here looking for attention, and I didn't give it to him, so he's gone. Of course. Monsters. Yeah, so the last reading materials, there's something. Oh no, it's a complete mock.
Take care. Here we may learn more of pivotal moments in history.
The Angel of Blood farewells. He is forced to assume the form of Ultima, the Angel of Blood. So, hang on. So, Volmov was trying to revive Saint Ajor, specifically not Ultima. Just seems like a little roundabout, but... No mood for celebrations, to say the least!
Take
Is there anything
Truth
here?
may have many facets.
Defeated Ultima. He read Ovelia and ascended the throne. Okay, so as I was saying, anyway, my only other gameplay, I'm gonna get into story comments in a sec, but gameplay, only if I'm raining nitpicks, is that the 3D battlefield, so on some of them, it made it really hard to tell where units were, and I really wish that tactical view where you hold R2 and you go into an overhead view, I really wish you could just, like, permanently, if you want to, remain in that, and or at least give orders while in that view. It made things a lot easier. I don't know if the original version of Tactics had it, but I would not want to play this without it, because that would be very annoying. And the other thing that struck me as a little odd, like I said, it occurred to me out of nowhere, there's no defense stat. I realized there's no positional play in the game, really. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, abilities have radiuses, but for the most part, like, they're just, like, in a cross shape or a diamond shape. There's nothing like abilities that hit in, like, an X shape, or like hit 3 in front of you in that. And there's also no abilities that change the position of units. Like the first tactical RPG I really remember playing, I think I played it before Pokemon Conquest, was Disgaea. And I remember in Disgaea, you know, enemies have, characters have moves where they hit a unit and knock it back a tile, or they hit these units and end up on the unit behind them. So kind of surprised that they even had the option for attacks to knock enemies back, because it happens completely at random and unreliably, not that often, and usually you can't take advantage of it. So I think it would be interesting to see more positional play and abilities would allow more variance in some skill sets. Maybe you could squeeze an extra job in somewhere there. I don't know which one, but you know, squeeze an extra job with abilities that change the position of enemies or prevent enemies from moving for a turn, not like a status ailment or something, but it's hard to say. But I think they could have done more with that mechanic. So, story, again, very enjoyable, pretty much very memorable cast of characters overall. Even if they had brief roles, they made an impact. Definitely get why people love Agrias and Sidolphus. Sidolphus is just a beast and a powerhouse and a cool character, and Agrias is like one of the few people in Evil East who has nobility and honor comparable to Ramza and is willing to see it through. But that is one of my critiques of the story too, is that a lot of characters that are important to the story stop being important once they join the party. And I understand why from a gameplay perspective. Once they join the party, they could be killed off and they'll no longer be present. So it's like, how do you have Agrias play a major role in the climax of the game if she's no longer in the party? And I'll just say, like, I can think of a simple workaround immediately. Have it like characters, like storyline characters like Agrias, Sidolphus, Rafa, Marak. Have it so like, and Mustadio, have it like they can die in battle, but they don't leave the party. It's like they're just removed from the battle, and after the battle you still have them. So you do that, you still don't want to let them die in battle, because they were moved from the battle and you're down a party member. You don't want that. But you can still like have them permanently around and be part of the plot then. There's a lot more you could do with them. And that is something overall that, again, as an overall critique of the story, there's a lot of characters that seem like they have a lot more they could have contributed, or they contributed very little and it didn't seem like they had much more. And I think the most glaring example was, I can't remember his name, the Grand Duke. I remember it took me aback a little that the Grand Duke is mentioned, and I was like, okay, because the whole political system, social structure of Evil East thus far seemed like, you know, the one Duke in the West, the one Duke in the East, but now there's this third guy called the Grand Duke who rules over another place, so how does he fit into things? Not sure. And they never mentioned him before Chapter 3, so... Allow me to introduce you to someone. This is my pain. This is Rollo, my pain in the ass. I mean, my cat. He was meowing at my door to get in. He rolled around on the carpet, looking for attention. When I did give it to him, he meowed to get out, and just now he meowed to get back in. Rollo, wave to the people. You're the one interrupting my playthrough of this great game. Say hello. Anyway, so the Grand Duke just came out of nowhere, and like I had questions about how he fits into Evilis's political system when the story up, and then I treated it as like the East Duke versus the West Duke, but suddenly there's a Northern Duke, and I don't get it. And with him, honestly, a lot of Chapter 3 was kind of pointless, because the whole subplot with Rafa and Marak and the Grand Duke just kind of... it mounted to nothing. Whatever unique abilities Rafa and Marak have that the Grand Duke wanted them for, they play no role in anything. Nothing important happened except where it concerns the Lucavi getting involved in things. So, like, if you let the story characters join permanently and not be lost permanently, you could stick around, and maybe Rafa and Marak have more to contribute to the plot. And maybe everyone could contribute to the plot, but yeah. Like, and that's the thing, like, the story seems like how to phrase it best. It seems like they wrote more content than they had game to fit it into. And another glaring example to me was Beowulf and Race. There's like a whole subplot about this rogue knight Templar who is in love with this woman who was turned into a dragon, and it's completely relegated to 2 side quests. Like, and especially when we're fighting the Knights Templar, like, wouldn't Beowulf have a plot to play if we had recruited him or not? And I'm sure he had, like, I'm sure he probably has dialogue in a lot of fights if I used them more, but still, it feels like, at least like Ramza and his crew would be like, why are you joining with us? Shouldn't we be enemies? And it's a critique of it is that, I mean, I was just looking at in the Chronicle a minute ago, Orinus and the rest of the royal family besides Ovelia, we never saw them at all. Like, we never had a single scene with Orinus and his mother. So while they did kind of play both sides, as you know, both sides are power hungry and greedy and using the royals for their own end and all that, you were kind of rooting for Ovelia to win by default, because you had never seen the other kid who was going to be heir apparent. Like, we're going to immediately feel more for the character we've actually seen and interacted with than a baby that's only been name dropped and never appeared at all, even tangentially. Like, even if he can't directly appear in a scene, like, we could have a scene at a castle where he's in the next room, maybe? You know? And I get it, like, he's a baby, there's not much you can do, but still, like, do something to get us invested in him so we're not sure which side to root for. Now, granted, I don't know if that was their goal or not, because, again, like, you're still gonna root for Ovelia by default, because she's been in the party, we've known her, she's a good person. Unless they like give her a lot more character flaws and make her more complex and layered, which I think would undermine the game's story overall. We're gonna be like, she should be queen. She's a good person. Even, who cares if she's trueborn or not? But yeah. Just looking over my notes. The overall thing is last thing is that the Lucavi stuff. I think it worked into the plot. They worked into the plot fairly well. But it seemed like a lot of the Lucavi battles were back-ended into the last chapter. And almost like, we've got to rush, pit them as many as we can against them, even though we didn't fight one for every Zodiac. And that, in tandem with the other characters who could have contributed more to the plot, and certain plot lines we could have expanded and explored more. Like, the game was only 4 chapters, you could have easily gotten 5 chapters out of this plot line, maybe 6. If you did more with the characters once they joined the party and explored more of their subplots and that, I think you could easily get at least 1 more chapter out of this. Maybe 2. But that is not a criticism, it's just, I wish there was more to the story and more to the characters. because I really liked them and I really liked the things they set up. But then once the characters joined the party, because they could be permanently lost now, they're not allowed to influence the plot anymore. So we have like one of the Queen's Knights with us, we have one Templar Knight with us, we have Sidolphus with us, we have Ralph and Marak with us, and they can't do nothing to influence how events play out. And if they couldn't be permanently lost from the party, so that way you can still have them involved in the story without having to worry about that fridge logic, I think that would have helped the story a lot and get more mileage out of the story. And I also don't know the development history behind this game. I don't know if they did originally have more chapters planned or more content planned and they had to scale it back. Like Beowulf and Race in particular are so inconsequential, but their subplot they get 2 side quests and they get unique jobs and abilities with them. Like that in particular almost feels like, and the fact that he is a Knights Templar, it almost feels like, you know, this was something that was going to be part of the main game, but they had cut it for time and they decided to keep the characters in and make them optional, you know? With how Gogo was going to have a subplot in FF6 about appearing in towns and that, and they had to scrap that, but they still kept Gogo in. But overall, again, Final Fantasy Tactics, really loved it. Again, I see why people consider it one of the best games. I don't know if I would agree it's on the higher end of the scale. Not my top 5, but possibly top 10. Really enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing the post-game content. I may eventually, someday, but I don't know when I'll get to it, but maybe I'll stream or at least record the finale of Midlight Steep. Whatever happens then, I'll look into whatever else is in the post-game. And I may play on Tactician mode, I don't know though. So yeah, I have my nitpicks about the gameplay, and I have, the story had some shortcomings for me, but overall I really enjoyed this experience, and I'm glad I bought this. I bought it for the on PlayStation Network when I had a PSP years ago, but I just couldn't get into it then. I'm glad I did now. So, yeah. That is my informal review of this game. It's great.